Hello and welcome to Columbus Local Podcast. I am Len D'Amico, and this is episode number 57. And it is my great honor to introduce the one, the only, Pete Seaman. Pete, thank you so much for the honor to do this podcast episode that features your story.
Thank you, Len. Wow, what a great honor to be here tonight. And I truly appreciate the invite and looking forward to it.
Me too, Pete. You know, and a shout out to Josh and Angela Kulo of The Pretty Filth.
Yeah, you beat me to it because I listened to their podcast, and Josh and Angela dropped my name at the end of their interview, and I want to thank them for that. And they're a great band, The Pretty Filth, and thank you guys. And here I am right now. So thanks a lot. I appreciate it, and you as well, Len.
Oh, absolutely, man. And you know, Pete, it's an example of the giants among us. So many wonderful people in the Columbus-based music community, and I think many people, many music fans in the Columbus area will have maybe passed by you and not really known who you are and what you've done to support the music scene in the Columbus area. And I think we're going to learn a lot about that today. But having said all that, I'd like to hear from you what your current involvement in Columbus-based music is currently, and then maybe we'll tap back into your past and get your inspirations. But let us have it.
Yeah, currently, that's a great question. Currently, I am a supervisor for Promowest Productions, doing a lot of shows at Kemba Live and the Newport Music Hall, working with Liz Leinard at Kemba Live and Freddie Campo at Newport Music Hall are two wonderful people that I've worked with over 30 years. And it's a pleasure to still work shows, what I'm doing now, and enjoy what I'm doing over all these years, you know, and it's been a lot of fun. It sure has.
In working a show, what are you doing exactly, Pete?
Taking care of people. You know, be honest with you, making sure everything runs smoothly is our job, is a safe atmosphere, getting everybody in, doing a show and getting them out. And I've done it for so long that I think times changed after 9/11 in the security business, okay?
Yeah.
But we've learned from that. But now we just, you know, it's so cool. Everybody's so happy, you know, when we work these shows and everybody's on the same page. And I think it's a pretty good gig, you know, and that's why I'm still doing it.
It's so awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in what location are you currently working?
Kemba Live.
Okay.
Just a couple blocks away from you right here. Yeah,
exactly, man.
And in the Newport Music Hall down on High Street, forever and ever. So it's great.
Wow. When did you start with doing this?
Well, if I can say this, my parents bought me a set of drums in 1966. I was 12 years old. I remember that. And I knew then I wanted to kind of be a drummer and play. And I went through that, got in high school and got a little band thing going, but got in the military in 74. So that went away and got out in 77 and got a band together. And that's when I started playing live music in 1977.
So coming out of the military, then were you involved in music? In what aspect then? Were you performing an instrument? Or
No, in the military, no, sir, not at all. Yeah. Great story though. What really inspired me was I had chore duty in San Francisco, Concord Naval Weapons Station, 28 miles east of San Francisco. And we go into San Francisco to Winterland, where they used to do Don Kirshner's rock concert. And we would go see shows at Winterland. And I remember in 1975 going and seeing Peter Frampton Comes Alive. And I was at that show. And that album, to this day, is the number one selling live album of all time. And I was there.
What location was Winterland?
Winterland, right in downtown San Francisco.
Okay.
And it's not there no more. But when I saw that show, I went, that here we go. This is cool.
Live music is cool stuff.
It is.
It really is.
Well, and before that, seeing Kiss at the Agora in 1974 was really cool. But the first show I worked was 1973, was Humble Pie at the Agora.
So you were hired for...
Well, I wasn't really hired.
Okay.
I went down and I was a stagehand for Humble Pie. And it was 1973.
Oh, my gosh.
I know, that's what I thought. And I thought, well, yes, sir. And how cool is that? Yeah. And I thought, wow.
Was Frampton in the band
no,
in that time?
Frampton had, Peter had left the band.
Okay.
It's Steve Marriott. It was 30 Days in the Hole. And it was pretty cool, but I knew then this is something I wanted to foresee in my future.
Be involved in.
Right.
And, as a giant among us, you still are.
Well,
You're involved. You're more than involved, man, right?
I am, Len.
Yeah.
I'm blessed to have my health and be able to still do what I love to do. And I love to work shows. I'm around a really good group of people that keeps me going to do that. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But,
okay.
I just love it. It's something I've always liked to do, and it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And you've met some people along the way, have you not?
A couple.
And we'll get into that, I think, as we have a conversation, right?
I have.
So your first show was, I'm sorry, where?
Humble Pie.
Yep, Humble Pie at
the Agora,
which was at High Street.
Yes, it was. There was 4 Agoras in Ohio. There was 11, I do believe, across the United States of America, and the Agora. So many great talents played there. Queen, U2, AC/DC, Kiss. I mean, I could name a bunch. A lot of big names played on that stage back then.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so you're working in the venue. Mm-hmm. You're working security, and you're helping to ensure the safety of everyone.
Absolutely.
And you're assisting the acts to load in and load out. To some degree?
Pretty much. Well, that's a great question.
Okay. Yeah.
At the time, it was getting the doors open and getting in there and doing the load in. I wasn't a part of that. I wasn't a stagehand.
But you're
orchestrating the stagehands,
Yeah.
Getting that taken care of, getting the bands in, doing the sound checks. Just making the day.
Every aspect of making the best show possible.
Absolutely.
In your venue.
There's
that you're
so
working.
much involved in putting a show on that a lot of people don't understand. And I got to see, and still do, what all is involved in doing a show. It's all day long. Then they come out at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and I do the show for 2 hours, and it's over. And you load out, and they're out. So then you do it again. Then you do it again. Then you do it again.
And it's a never-ending roller coaster of events, right? For some of these venues over the years.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I'm probably working on 8,000 shows over 51 years, so it's a lot. It's a lot.
That's incredible.
Well, that's why I still do it.
And and I'm glad that you're doing it.
Well,
I think a lot of people are glad you're doing it.
I
you're
think
that familiar face to so many.
Music's in every household. Think about it. People get in the car, they turn their car on, start the car, and turn the radio on, listen to music, and music is in every household. And music to my ears is just what I love, and all different kinds of music. And being a musician, I'm not anymore. I don't play anymore, but Yeah, it's been a fun ride. It sure has.
So Pete, when you came out of the service, you were becoming a musician, right? That was your
Yes, sir.
first opportunity coming out as a
Yes.
young man. What instruments were you performing with, and how
Okay.
did that get launched for you?
Yeah, what it did was I got out in '77, so in '78, Steve Husky, I went to high school with, grew up on the east side. We orchestrated a band called Avalanche. Okay, so we played on the east side of Columbus, and we were in a band called Avalanche in '78, '79, and '80. Then that band kind of fizzled out, and actually, to Mike Doctor, which we all know, Mike actually
With these guys live, Mike Doctor?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
for saying,
currently anyway,
Thank
right?
you for saying that. Absolutely.
The last 17 years from
Yes,
2024.
got what a great band. With Mike Killer and Mike and the guys in the band. Mike actually did a stump with us for Avalanche for a bit and sang lead vocals with us, which was very, very cool way back when. But Avalanche fizzled, and I got an opportunity to move on to another project, and I joined a band called Palantir in 1980, 81, Len. And it was Randy Hollenball on drums, who is now the drummer for Late Night
Oh my
Albee.
gosh, there's a name. Yeah, current name too.
Ronnie Duncan on lead vocals.
Oh my.
Patrick McKiernan, on guitar. Marty Whalen on bass, and myself playing keyboards. But I flashed back and forth from playing drums and keyboards with Randy because he was a keyboard player. So we flipped. And back then we did one half side of Moving Pictures by Rush. Nobody played that. And how cool is that?
That's very cool, man.
Yeah, and these guys were brilliant, brilliant musicians. And Palantir was, we were really playing a lot, and it was a great band. And the band changed and went to a band called Signals, okay? So Signals was a dance band, and we did that. And then Signals fizzled, and then we went to a band called Escape. I did.
Yeah.
And it was Patrick McKiernan on guitar, Marty Whalen, and myself. We had a different drummer, a different lead singer. And Escape evolved, and we did that 85, 84, I do believe.
And what kind of music was Escape?
It was a rock band.
Yeah,
Every
all
band,
kind of rock covers?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were a rock band. And Escape, I'm not exactly sure how long it went. And the music career went on to where Frank Harrison gave Marty and me a call to play in Frank Harrison band. I think it was 88, something like that. And for my musical journey playing,
Yeah.
I got the audition and I got the job, and I was a keyboard player for Frank Harrison in the Streets with Marty. And I had been with Marty through this whole thing, through all these bands. So it was pretty cool.
Who was the drummer at the time?
Dennis Carson.
Oh, wow.
With Frank Harrison.
Yeah.
Dennis was on drums, and Frank and Marty and I. And Dennis, God love him, a great drummer, played with so many different bands, really, really great bands. And I think Frank was always like a trio. So for me to get the keyboard gig in that, I was pretty honored to do so.
Yeah, and my gosh, what a what a group of folks. I mean, and Frank Harrison really was an inspiration to many. I mean, personally, he was an inspiration to me. I mean, so I can only imagine what it felt like at that time for you. You know, how did that feel to be like a keyboard player in a traditional trio type of a scenario?
Well, it was awesome. I mean, that's a great question because I wasn't really a blues guy. Okay, I played in all these rock bands, and Frank's doing Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that. So it was totally out of my realm. So I had to totally relearn different patterns of music to play in this band. But it was cool because I enjoyed it. And when you're playing with Frank, I mean, yeah, what a great guitar player.
You got all that going on.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an honor to do so, for sure.
Oh, what an experience.
It was. It was
Yeah.
fun. But that's pretty much when the live music of me in 93 pretty much quit. That's when my playing live out ended for me, 93,
And
94.
you focused more on the venue.
Yes, security.
Security. Yeah.
Which I did, we'll get into that, but
Yeah.
which I did the security part all through the 80s, into the 90s, into now. I've always done that, okay? But I was burned the candle at both ends, playing in a band and working security and doing this and that. So it all gelled.
Yeah, and it was all kind of somewhat related, and you were
Absolutely.
looking for your focus.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, my gosh, what a great live music experience that you've had.
Playing,
Have you played since out?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
So you ran 10 years with those experiences.
It was great. I mean, I can go back to 78 to 93. What a great run. It was. I played with so many great musicians. I was blessed to do so. I can't name them all because I'll forget somebody.
I feel that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, just to be a part of the live music scene in Columbus was very cool.
So in 84, you're with Humble Pie's concert and you got bit by the live music, but at the same time, you're doing all this live music, and what a great experience that you described. I mean, that's
Okay,
iconic,
let me back
right?
up. It wasn't 84. It was
okay.
73.
Oh, 73.
Yeah, I'm old.
For Humble Pie.
Humble Pie, yeah.
My bad.
But
Sorry,
84, no, I
Yeah.
think we discussed this earlier, no problem. 84 is when Scott Steinecker, that owns Promowest Productions, bought the Agora. And I went to Scott's office, went upstairs, knocked on the door, and I told him I wanted a job, and he hired me.
Good for you.
40 years ago.
Good
to
for
this-
you, man.
Yeah, it was cool. And 40 years ago to this year. And first show was Neil Young, and it sold out. And I do believe, don't quote me on this, but I do believe Scott put a second night on, and it was 2 nights in a row, and Neil Young sold out. And I was bit then. I was full
Agora.
tilt. I was ready to go. I was working security and
Holy cow.
working the club. This is what I really wanted to do.
Yeah. And that was 84.
That was 84.
Okay.
Correct.
So you took it
Correct.
upon yourself to come to the new owner's office.
Right.
And, he probably saw the drive in you and the passion.
It was a great conversation. I
think.
do remember it. I mean, I was a little nervous knocking on his door, asking for a job. But
It's a good lesson, though, for all of us.
yes, sir. The best question's the one you ask. I've always said that because they can always say no. But he said yes. And I got the gig. And I'm still with him 40 years later. So it's pretty cool.
That's very cool, man. Very cool.
But when Scott started that company and the Newport took off and we decided to, talking about the security part of it, with Brian Sullivan, he decided with Brian to put their heads together and orchestrate a security company called ECM, Event Control Management. And I was a big part of that. That's when the security part outside the club really took off.
Kind of blossomed.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
So it went outside the venue and
my
became
Lord.
a service to more than one venue.
Oh,
right?
I can start. Let me try and start naming some things, Len.
Yeah.
City Center downtown opened in '84. They had a place called Ohio Center, which did concerts. We did shows there in the mid '80s after ECM was built. Brian Sullivan was the brains behind it. We were doing monster truck shows. We were doing dirt bike shows. We were doing extravaganzas. Anything we can get our hands on, we were doing security for it. Okay, the '80s was a wash. It went so quick. Not a wash. I don't mean that. '80s was just
A blur.
a blur.
Yeah.
A blur as to how much we were doing and getting our hands in with that company. And then the '90s came, and the Columbus Chill came to town, and we got that gig. So we did hockey.
Oh, man.
Then the Schottenstein Center opened. Then we did the arena, and we were doing all this stuff. And, I was around a core of people in the '90s: Eric Hossbutler, Jeffrey Gator Thornhill, Patrick Ione, Mike Kempton, his brother Mark, Troy Davis, Eric Rothschild. I can start naming all these guys. I know I'm forgetting somebody. These guys were the core of this company. We were doing everything, and it just gelled, and it worked. And we had our hands in a lot of different things, believe me, back then.
When did the name Uncle Pete come around for you?
Oh, my God. That's a great question. Well, in the '90s at the Newport, because I was pretty much 20 years older than everybody else. So they named me Uncle Pete because I was the older guy. But
I gotcha.
Just from the stagehands and everybody, just a great group of people, man. I've been blessed to be around so many great people over that time.
Sure. How do you know my buddy Matt Bell?
Oh, Matt and I go way, way back. I can't actually tell you where I actually met Matt, but fantastic guy. It's through the music, it's through the music, and so many people that I know saw me play in the day, or I've met up with them through a show or whatever, and we've kept that relationship over the years.
That's so awesome.
It's great.
Yeah, Matt's a Westerville guy. I'm a Westerville guy.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
I played football at Westerville South, and
All right.
Matt was a year behind me, and he was my my fill-in,
Okay.
the monkey move up for the next year. So we were offensive guards, and
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
that's good stuff.
Oh,
Westerville
that is-
South. Shout
Matt's a
out.
great guy.
Matt
I'm
is
glad you
he's a
brought
good
him
man.
up. I'm
Oh
glad
my
you brought
gosh,
him up.
absolutely. Yeah, and I know he has a lot of respect for you.
Well, he does. And I saw he texted something the other day to me, and it was pretty special. But
He wanted you to do a podcast episode
He-
on Columbus Local Podcast. Pete.
he did say that.
And we told him that it's scheduled.
It was scheduled.
Here we
And
are.
Thank you, Josh and Angela. But
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure to them. But yeah, it's amazing though. Since I've talked with you earlier tonight, the people that I know, and what you're doing with local music and interviewing the people you interview, it's just fantastic. And a lot of kudos to you, man. I think someday I'll be in your chair and you'll be in mine, and I'll interview you.
Well, maybe we can do that. There's been
we
a
can
couple
flip
guys.
this. We can flip this.
There's been a couple guys. I have probably more corporate American stories than I have local Columbus music, but
Cool.
I do have some stories, and you can't make any of them up, Pete. You
No.
can't make these stories up. They happen, and you just can't believe them. And it's usually with music that makes things like a little over the top.
Well, that's well said.
Have you witnessed anything over the years, Pete, that you'd like to share with us that you think is something you can't make up that happened on the stage or
Oh, my gosh.
within
Well,
some of these events?
Gosh, that's a great question, Len. I've had the honor to meet a lot of musicians. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff over the years. Great stuff, bad stuff. Sat in limo with Steven Tyler.
There you
while
go.
He's eating a salad in his lap, throwing croutons all over the place. That's pretty special. Actually, I don't have a picture with him from my wall of fame. That's kind of a bummer. But no, there's so much more good than bad. People ask me all the time, what's the best show you ever saw? And I really can't answer that. I can't, because I've seen so many great ones. I mean, we did stadium shows, ECM. We did the Stones at the Horseshoe in '97. We did U2. We did George Strait. We did Limp Bizkit.
Oh my
We did.
gosh.
I actually. Let's back up. I got out of the military in '77. In '78, I got a job at Legend Valley. The year it
Really?
opened.
Really?
So I was working security at Legend Valley in 1978. The very first show, I think, was Charlie Daniels and Marshall Tucker Band. And
That's
I worked
right.
that show.
That's right.
So, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, hell yes.
I can name those guys, whether it be country, jazz, rock,
the urban cowboy days, man.
urban cowboy days. Yeah,
We were
yeah,
all
yeah.
wearing dingo
Oh
boots
my
and
God.
cowboy hats.
I didn't have a
brother.
pair.
I did.
But did you?
I still have them.
That a boy.
I'm going to show them to you when we're done.
Oh my God, I can't wait. What size you wear?
Well, you know what? I wear a different size now 'cause
my God.
for various reasons. But I think those are size 9.
Okay, good.
Cowboy
But
boots.
to finish that
Yeah,
question,
I'm with you.
I don't. There's so many stories, Len. There are over all the years that I don't want to get into that, but it's all positive, man. I mean, it's all so good.
It is so
I
good,
regret very little, if that makes any sense.
Oh my gosh.
I
man.
regret very little of it. It's all been great. That's why I still do it.
So is it safe to say, Pete, that you really have been exposed to probably the most major music that has come through Columbus, Ohio
Absolutely.
over what's your career?
I
Year
remember going to the
measurement.
Sugar Shack days way back when and seeing Bob Seger for 50 cents. I remember seeing the Gods. Shout out to the Gods. Mark
Yes, let's
Sheffield,
do
my good
that.
friend. Keith Pickens,
Oh, my gosh.
Doug Savage, Steve Mitchell, and Julie Neal. God bless you.
These guys had a great episode. It's one I'll cherish the rest of my life.
You know,
What an
love 'em,
iconic
love 'em.
conversation.
Rest in peace, Eric Moore.
Yes.
I met Mark and Eric in 1978 at the Sugar Shack. There you go. There's a band from back in the day. They're still around. John Schwab, great friend of mine, McGuffey Lane, local talent. I can go on and on and on, but so much. Rosie with the Gods,
Yes.
of course. Let's not forget them.
And yeah, Mark Chatfield was instrumental with that as well.
And absolutely. And you can go on with Spitting Image and Sweet Cheeks and The Sting. And I can start naming all these bands, Len, from the past. They're still there. There's bands still there that are so good in this town that Columbus has always offered a great leadership in local talent, I think.
Agreed.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Mind blowing.
It is. And
It's such a jewel.
Isn't it?
To go to one of the venues in Columbus,
Absolutely.
Ohio, and see so many great bands.
oh, and bringing that up, one of my idols growing up when I was a kid was Robin Trower. And I love Bridge of Sighs record. With Frank, we got to open up for Robin Trower. It was 1993, I believe, at the Newport Music Hall. And we did back-to-back night shows at the Newport, sold out. And I got to play that gig with Frank. And I remember Robin standing right behind me. And, I mean, come on. It doesn't get much better than that.
Legendary
Oh, my
global
gosh.
guitar player.
I mean, the guy came out in 72, and with Bridge of Sighs, I think, I'm not sure, but it's like seeing Frampton in 75 in San Francisco. That's priceless memories, my friend.
And bless you for having the experiences that you've had. That, as an example, that's one of so many.
Yeah,
It really is. It's iconic.
well, I appreciate that. It's been fun. It's been a great ride. I'm not done yet. So,
No,
oh
you're
no, I'm
not,
still
dude.
going. I'm still going. But I've been around so many great people that have had my back over all the years, and I've worked with a core of people with Promowest Productions. 40 years is something to be said, and I thank Scott for that, keeping me on board this long, and Liz and Freddie and some other names I dropped. hope I'm not forgetting anybody, but I'm sure I did. But yeah, it's pretty cool, to still be involved. But Columbus has so much to offer, as you know. Your show, think about what you're doing and the people you're interviewing, and you got to love your job.
Oh, well, this is not my day job. I do have a day job in corporate
I
America
understand.
still that's still continuing, and a couple of nights a week, couple times a week, we'll line up folks to come and talk about their inspirations and things that they want to shine a light on as it would relate to their involvement in Columbus-based music. For me, it's something I've always done. I mean, I go out and I try to get to know the guitar player or the singer or some of the other players in the band. And I thought, maybe other people are interested. And so it's really a focus of shining the light on the inspirations and the backgrounds of the people that are doing what they do. Because let me tell you, man, and because you've been there, and I've been there too. I'm not, I've done what I've done. You've done what you've done in local music as a performer, but we both know, because we've done it, how hard the people that are still doing it are working. Right? These bands work so hard.
Oh, it's amazing.
On their piece and being a brother or a sister or, a they to the rest of the band, right? And making sure that what they're delivering is the best that they can do.
Very
and
well
they
said, Len.
Continue to hone in on their craft. And I think some of us reach a point where, it's as far as it's going to go for me, right? In my case, it's like as far as I'm going to go. And so you can still, stay in touch and be in touch.
Right.
By doing some other things, going out to the shows.
Right.
Continue to support the venues that put these shows on with the bands that are
you
continuing,
support,
right?
I see you, and you support so much.
Well, the band, Beth and I will. We love this stuff.
You and Beth go out a lot and support these bands, and I'm not going to start getting the name of these bands. There's so many great bands. We can't do that, Len.
We can't leave
talked about
anybody
this
behind.
earlier.
We can't leave anyone behind. We have our personal favorites, but I love everybody, right?
I can't. I love everybody. I do.
Absolutely.
Because they're all so good.
Yes.
And they are. And like right now, there is so many good bands out right now that I think it's great. I mean, Columbus has always offered a great product of music. I think, in my opinion, I'll be 70 years old in October, and I've seen it over the years.
And you've lived a piece of it.
I have.
You've been a performer.
I have.
And now, and I think it's almost beyond local music with what you're doing with your current job.
Absolutely.
You've got global acts coming into the venues that you're working, right? And it's all in Columbus, Ohio, though. The venues are bringing them in. There's some great venues bringing a lot to Columbus, but also coming out of Columbus and out to the world as well, right?
That's very well said.
There's avenues out there.
Oh, huge. It's a big highway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's well said. I remember the day in Columbus when all the shows were at Veterans Memorial back in the day.
The big shows.
Because we didn't have, which Veterans Memorial is 3,200 people. That's it. And they did shows at St. John Arena, but there was no arena. There was no amphitheater. People went to Cleveland. They went to Cincinnati. There was none of that here. And then think about it. I mean, you had Legend Valley, which was 65,000 people outside. But for an indoor venue, Columbus didn't have a big venue to offer big name bands. But guess what? Big name bands did play here. They played at the Agora. I mean, you're
on High Street.
Thank
at
you.
OSU campus, right?
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I mean, and like you said, that's still happening.
It is.
Over all these, that's still going on. And that's pretty cool, I think.
But you're working the venues, Pete, and for 40 years, right? And so, what are some of the themes that you've seen that have changed from the time that you started to the 40 years that have passed to today as it would relate to the music?
Well, the music's changed so much. That's a great question. I mean, you got to think about it. Back in those days, the music was totally different than the way it is now. It's like you got the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I think, in my opinion, the 80s is some of the greatest music ever. The hair bands.
Yeah, man.
I'm a rock guy. So, I mean, think about it.
Too.
I
in
know.
my soul, but I like other stuff
but
too.
I love the 70s. I mean, come on. There are no more Led Zeppelins. There is no more of that, okay? So I think the realm of that is, Len, is I'm working these shows now, and there's such great talent out there, but I don't know who they are. I'm working a show, and I go, I've never heard of them. But I get done working the show, I go, wow, those guys are really good. But the people in the audience know every word, and they're singing every word. And you know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Oh, my God, yeah.
So it's a different crowd, you know, than what it was for you and me back in the day. It's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, what are they doing? What's a crowd? What's the crowd different? Is it society? Is it the music itself? What do you think
The
it is?
music's totally different.
And how so?
Well,
like just
I just think, that's a really hard question.
It's
It's a much younger. I just worked a show.
You worked a show last night.
Yes, I did.
At Kemba.
Yes, I did.
A block north of where we are right now.
It was a jam band called Green Sky Bluegrass, which they've been around about 20 years. So it's a jam band. So if you ever went and saw the Grateful Dead, you'd love them. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a jam band. I'm personally not into that, but I've worked many a jam band shows. So it was an older crowd. Everybody was cool. They were bobbing to the music all night long. I worked a show the night before that was sold out of a band I've never heard of. It was sold out. It was a younger crowd. And they knew every song, every lyric, the whole night for an hour and a half. And I had no clue who they were. So you understand what I'm saying? It's a whole different animal now with the music nowadays, because I'm kind of out of the loop with that.
You know what you
I don't
like.
get in my car and turn the radio on and listen to music all day long. I don't do that.
Right.
I don't do that. That's not happening. So,
What are you doing to listen to music? Are you streaming your stuff? Are you throwing an album on your turntable? What are you doing?
I'll listen to it online or whatever. I mean, on my phone.
You'll stream it.
Yeah, I'm streaming it.
Okay.
If I want to listen to anything new or anything, I stream it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's different than what.
I used to do the CDs all the time, but, well, actually, I still do somewhat. But I'll stream it and listen to it. I'll pick it apart and see if I like it or not. Sometimes I do that a lot before the show. I got to work to see what I'm getting into, to what to expect. You understand what I mean?
I do.
Because I don't know a lot of these artists nowadays. Now, don't get me wrong. If the Foo Fighters are coming to town, I know what's going on. Okay.
Have you met Dave Grohl?
I have.
And the band?
I have. Great question.
What's that like?
The best. Dave Grohl's the best. I mean,
can't imagine.
I never saw Nirvana. I never did. Dave's a great songwriter,
He's
drummer,
a badass,
guitar.
man. He's a total badass.
You know what? He is a badass. Great songwriter, lyricist, no doubt. Really, really good drummer. People don't realize with Nirvana. Great guitar player. I mean, everything is great, great, great about them. And they're going to be okay. Foo Fighters are going to be okay. They're going to come back out and knock it. And with that being said, I did forget a gig I used to work, which was pretty cool, talking about all these new bands and this and that. Scott was doing the Cincinnati Bunbury Music Festival in Cincinnati. I think first year was 2015 when I went down. 3 stages, 42 bands in 3 days. I took Eric Haas Butler, Patrick Ione, Jeffrey Gator Thornhill and myself with Tim Burris, and we went down. Tim was pretty much the production manager with Scott, and we did these shows, and we got to see it all within, I mean, that's when I was introduced to Muse. It's a great band. I mean, I can go on and on. Greta Van Fleet, I can go on and on, you know, with the headliners. But yeah, it's there's so many different kinds of music now, Len, that I'm kind of out of the loop, man. I hate to admit that, but I am. I'm a little lost on that.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
It's all changed, man. But not for the bad. It's for the good. Hey,
So,
they're
is
selling
it-
tickets, man. They're selling tickets.
Well, okay, and that's probably like the magic. wand,
Absolutely.
right? Keeping the machine rolling.
Yes.
Okay, and finding the right mix
Yes.
of chemistry to make that happen.
That's exactly correct.
And it starts at a local level, obviously, because there's not too many people like Wolfie Van Halen, right? That boom, you know, your first band is the greatest rock band.
Yeah, have
Right?
you
know,
seen them?
I have not seen Mammoth.
I have not.
I haven't either, but I have a lot of respect for what he's doing. You know, he's individualizing his contribution to music, and it seems to be pretty damn successful.
Well,
you know?
he's selling tickets, and
Yeah.
I worked many of Van Halen shows, and to be Eddie or Dad, I mean, come on, I mean, that's a real deal, right?
It is.
But I think he's on the right path. I do. I think he's got a monster band with him. I mean, why wouldn't he? Just because of the name, and I'm excited to go see him play sometime. I'd like to see it. Didn't he play local here? Did he do the?
Possibly.
I don't. You haven't seen him?
I have not.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know that I ever will, to be honest with you. I
Okay.
mean, I'm a huge Van Halen fan.
Are you?
Yeah. But there's a lot we could talk about there. But I want to get back to Pete.
Okay.
Pete, to quote Josh Kulu. Pete, Seaman.
Oh my God.
You know, man. Like, let's get back to you.
Okay.
Like what's a story or a memory or an inspiration that just sticks with you in regard to an example of having fun with music?
Wow. Well, that's a great question. I remember when I was a little kid, my parents bought me a drum pad, and my brother might have had one too, Paul. I'm not sure. I had a drum pad, and I instead of drumsticks, and I was playing on a drum pad, and I was young, but when I got my drum set at 12 years old, that's a memory I'll never forget, coming home from school and walking in my living room with my mom and dad, and there was a set of Slingerlands set up in the living room, and they were mine. And I went, no, that's pretty cool, because drums are loud. I mean,
It's a big deal. It was a big deal.
it was a
for
big
you.
deal to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can go on and on about that, but that was pretty special for a memory for a memory thing for me. That just, man, I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. And then after that, though, I used to listen to A track after A track after A track all the time because I just love music. I'll never forget, Len, I loved Woodstock, the record, and I used to listen to Sly and Family Stone and Jimi Hendrix playing Star Spangled Banner and the Beatles and all that, and I played it over and over and over and over again. And I think just the love of music. I've always just loved it.
Yeah,
I have.
and you've been with it, right?
I have.
Since day one.
Since day one, and I'm still doing it, which is pretty cool.
That's very cool.
So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm a very lucky man. I am. It's pretty cool.
A giant.
It's been a fun ride.
It.
It's been a fun ride.
And you're still riding it, which is
I
really,
am.
it's
I
real.
am.
That's a good thing.
You
Man.
know, the best thing about it is the track hadn't ended yet. So the track goes on and on and on. It's a long train, you know.
What's your favorite backstage story, Pete?
Oh my God.
Maybe you have more than one.
I got more bad ones than good ones. But I think the backstage story was getting up close to Paul McCartney.
Really? Where was that?
Shaughnessy Center. Pretty starstruck about that.
When was that?
Gosh, that's a great question.
Roughly.
When early 2000s, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
When McCartney played Shaughnessy Center. And by the way, we were doing all the shows at Shot as well. I got real up close with Paul, and I thought, wow, I think that's, out of any artist I've ever met, pretty starstruck about that. He's a Beatle, number one. He's probably one of the most sought after artists in the world, mind you. And that was a pretty cool moment.
Iconic moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Did you have a conversation with Paul?
no, I did not. I did not.
But
I
you
keep my
saw him.
space. I
Yeah.
keep my space.
Respectful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to give that. Had many a great. I've walked Steven Tyler off the stage for Aerosmith a few times, and he's a hoot. I'll tell you, this guy, he's got it going on,
The
man.
epitome of frontmanism.
Oh my
right?
God!
Yeah.
Well, he's my favorite, and you know what's sad is, I don't have a photo with him. I got a photo with a lot of people.
Let's talk about your wall of fame, right?
Okay.
So you got photos.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Hold on one sec.
Okay.
But Pete, before we get into the wall of fame, I shout out to Sean Pruden, right? Like, he'll be happy to know that we've been drinking Kettle One and lime juice, and we haven't
Right.
tapped the tequila bottle that that Julie and Sean
Yes,
have christened here
I know.
at this situation. So
I think that's well said because Sean's he's a tequila guy, man.
love Sean.
I love Sean.
Love Julie too. Sean is a pillar. He really he takes people that he sees that haven't seen the way yet, and he shows them the way.
I think
and it's a beautiful thing that he does.
it's well said because I remember I have not known Sean that long, but when I remember I met him, and the band Hot Lucy, they're friends of mine, Matt and Rick. Rick's a great friend of mine, the drummer. And Patrick, and I can plug all you guys, man.
Oh my God, yeah.
Sean is a very unique individual.
Agreed.
They broke the mold on that boy. Okay, there's only one Sean, which is not a bad thing.
No,
at all.
it's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing, and I love Sean to death, man. And what a great bass player. I mean, but
He's
yeah.
a channel.
Oh.
He's a great guitar player too.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he can play guitar.
can?
Oh my God.
Oh, come on.
Oh, it's a true
Sean,
story.
you have not told me that yet.
No, it's true. The dude
Really?
plays guitar like
He
that.
does?
Yes, he kills it.
He has hidden secrets.
And I'll show you a video. He played this keyboard. He's a keyboard
Did he play
player.
keyboards
Yeah,
too?
Man.
Well,
he's
he's
multi-talented. He's a great musician.
Well, yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I'm glad you threw his name out there because it's well deserved. Oh, it is.
Indeed.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah, he was one of the first people I reached out to because
Really?
I knew that he would be receptive to kind of talking about his story. And
Did he come on do a show with you?
he did. Yeah.
I have not heard that.
Oh, you got to hear that.
I got to listen to
I'll
it.
show you. I'll show you how.
Now,
to
how
get
long
these-
ago
all
was
these-
that with Sean?
He was kind of middle of 2023,
So you're in your
maybe a little bit later.
first full year, over a year of doing this?
Yeah. Yeah, we've done your episode 57.
Okay.
Started in January of 2023.
Okay, so I do want to put a plug to you. So how many views have you had or listeners have you got?
Well, I'll tell you what,
5,200?
it's not about me.
I know that.
First of all, it's this community. Every time someone is featured, you reach a whole nother population of interested folks that are like, oh, and then they see all the other episodes and like, oh my God, and so it's sort of an organically growing mechanism, right? And again, there's no money in any of this right now, and maybe there never will be. But the point, and it's not about the money, man. It's about the community of Columbus-based music and the people that are engaged in making it what it is, and it's a beautiful thing. So as a result of all this, there's some semi-famous people that have brought listeners from 20 different countries, and there's well over 5,200 plays of the podcast episodes in a year's time, and growing every time. So Pete, you're I'm sure there'll be people that are interested in what we're talking about tonight. And there'll be another chunk of folks that are like, "Hey, this is interesting
pretty cool,
to
man.
me." It's an organic machine.
Okay.
It's the community that exposes itself that draws further interest and further growth of what stories can be heard in the podcast world. And the podcast world is the wild, wild west. There's millions of shows out there.
There's so many podcasts,
and there's folks that have tapped into Columbus local music. I think some of the radio stations have some. Arch has a great podcast. It's a great, and I recently met him and had some brief conversation. I love the whole concept he has with the podcast he's been doing, but he doesn't cover a focused local level. He's got a lot of great other topics that he'll tackle. And there's occasions where I've done that too. Like there's a person of interest,
right?
And I've got, I think, 5 or 6 special episodes that are outside of Columbus local music. But and they're great stories to listen to as well.
Well, that's why it's called Columbus Local Podcast.
Yeah, Columbus Local, absolutely.
And which is a great name for your podcast because that's what it is, Len.
It is exactly.
And bringing
what it is.
all these people in that you're doing, and like I said, I'm totally honored to be sitting here and doing this. And but getting back to the Wall of Fame,
Wall of Fame. What is that?
Okay, what it is, it hasn't been done yet, but I have a lot of pictures, which. Those days are over. You can't do that no more. But I do have a lot of photos of a lot of artists that I have met over the years. It's an 8x10, and someday I'm going to orchestrate a room and put it all up and make a Wall of Fame. I mean, I don't want to start naming names. I can go from Faith Hill to Alice Cooper.
Oh my gosh.
Danzig.
Where you're posing with someone.
Yeah,
I've seen your posts.
Me and the individual.
Social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're posting
Absolutely, I do.
You're tapping into the Wall of Fame.
Well,
right?
I do. I tap into it.
And people are loving it, Pete.
I do got a lot of likes. I do. But, I'm lucky, man. I mean, here's what's cool about it. It's not about me.
I feel the
By
same
no
way,
means.
dude.
Not at all, man. I just enjoy what I do. But for me, to get to meet an artist, that's pretty cool, man.
It's very cool.
Because they're the rock star.
Yep.
Okay? And I get to work their show and do their thing. Then they're off and gone. Okay? So to get a photo with somebody is pretty special. I can't do that no more. That's okay.
So what years represent the Pete Seaman Wall of Fame?
90s.
All the
A
90s.
lot of the 90s.
Okay.
I got everybody that I could get. And people ask me to the stage, you have a camera with you? I have no idea. I don't know who took these pictures.
Really?
I didn't have a cell phone. Well, maybe I did. Were they around back then?
I remember my first cell phone
what year?
was as big as my forearm.
Okay,
It was
well, oh
huge.
my God, they were huge.
Yeah.
But
Had
you know what I'm
antenna.
saying, though?
I do.
Because people ask me to this day, Len, well, who took that photo? I don't remember, but I got it.
You had the photo.
But I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. You know?
And is it
I
paper?
think
Is it
one of the
paper?
coolest, it's a real photo, printed
Yeah.
out.
Paper.
But
Yeah.
I think one of the coolest photos I got, in all honesty, I mean, I have so many, and it's not with an artist. It's 1997. Scott Soniker took the picture, actually. We did the build in security for the Rolling Stones in 1997 at the Horseshoe. And their stage, it was 56 semis, 18 semis of steel. It was a 5-day build.
Oh my gosh.
I remember with Gator and me.
I remember that show. It was a big deal.
It was huge.
Keep going. I'm just going to pull this a little closer to you. Go ahead.
Okay. It was huge.
Yeah, that was a big show.
Before they came out, I walked up. Scott told me to walk up on stage and stand on the stage. He's going to take my picture. I've got the photo, okay? It's the biggest stage I've ever been on in my life, number one. Number two, to look out over the Horseshoe and see that perspective from the stage.
Do you have that?
Now,
Do you have that?
now I know why football players want to come here and play football in that
In that shoe.
in that shoe.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
It don't get no better than
Or
that.
playing the band.
Oh my God. I mean, it was just such a cool.
Best damn band in the land.
It was a really cool moment
Yep.
in my time for a photo. Was that one?
What a memory, man.
Oh yeah, it's great. But there's so many memories with so many different artists, from country to rock to jazz to. I got to get you on. I got to get with you and get you in the Wall of Fame. I'm gonna make that happen. I'm
Okay,
gonna make that
man.
happen.
We'll
Well,
make
it's got to happen for sure, man.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be an honor.
yeah. But well, you so deserve it, man. I mean, but no, it was fun. I call it the Wall of Fame, which I have not really done it yet, but I think someday down the road that might happen.
You have the material.
I got it. It's just
Yeah.
got to get done.
Let me know
But
if-
I got to have the room to do it. I got to find out where to do it. I don't know how to do it.
What if you did it digitally first?
Oh,
And then there's your room.
how you do that? I like that.
I can help you with that.
Oh, well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I'd
that'd
like
be
to
great.
do that.
And the other thing, Pete, has anyone, I'm sure there have been a few, but you have all this experience and you have these photos too for your Wall of Fame, but where's your book, dude?
I know. Well,
Where's the book?
Angela's, I know. Angela's beat me up on
It's
it.
a New York bestseller, man. Come on.
Dude,
Bring it.
I so appreciate it. Angela's beat me up on it. I've never written a book in my life, man, let alone read
Don't
one.
matter.
No, I've read them. But, I got a lot of people asking me that. Even my wife, Jan, God love her, she says, what does she say? Uncle Petey's bedtime, rock and roll nighttime stories or whatever.
Yeah, dude. Come on.
You know what I
man.
mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like that. But I don't know. It's a thought process. We'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
I've
wall
never wrote a book in my life, man.
doesn't matter.
I know. And I could have people walk me through that and get it done. It would be cool. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be a couple chapters.
It could be a series.
Oh my God, Len.
I mean, and I know you don't want to get into too many stories, but have you ever, so you started off, you performed as a drummer and you had keys.
Yes.
And you had some musical performance experience, and then you're into, security at the shows and,
Yes, sir.
and performing within the venues. And you have the Wall of Fame experience and all the experience to help all these bands have the best show possible with the safety of everyone involved, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, what a wonderful, wonderful contribution, let alone the experiences that you have. It's just a wonderful story, man.
Len, you know, that's well said. Like we said, I'll be 70 in October. And this all started with my drum kit in 1966. I was 12 years old. But, I mean, I wasn't playing then, don't get me wrong. But for the last 51 years, on and off, being involved in the music industry is a complete blessing. You know, a lot of people get up every day and go to work and they hate their job. I've always loved my job in the music industry. I have. And that's why I still do it, you know. Yeah. And you're right. All that factored in, it's been a great run. I mean, from being able to play live music in a band with such great musicians, I mean, I was surrounded by a lot of people. And to work in the security business around a lot of great people that made me look good. Okay. I'm just another guy, man. I'm a simple man, as Bad Company said. That's it. Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
And when you're surrounded with
that might have been Leonard Skinner, though. That's okay.
Simple Man was.
Leonard,
was it?
Leonard Skinner.
What was the Bad Company song?
Maybe Bad Company had one, but I
oh
know
my
Leonard
God.
Skinner.
Okay. Oh, okay. My bad.
It's all
but
good.
when you're surrounded by great people,
yes.
Think about that. I mean,
know.
You're a guitar player. You played in a band. When you're surrounded by great people,
it's inspiration.
It's the best.
Yeah.
I
get that in corporate America.
There you go.
I'm in a very fortunate spot right now.
Okay.
And I work with some really, really talented people.
Good.
And so I'm grateful for that, right? Yeah. And I can apply that to the music projects that I've been involved in. And I apply that to my relationships with my friends and my life partner, Beth.
Well, I want to,
you know, I mean, bless her heart. You're an East Side guy. You guys bonded immediately.
I got to bring this up.
Here, right?
I got to bring it up. She's going to listen here. God bless you, Beth.
I know, man.
Beth is a Hartley Hawk, man.
Yes, she is.
And I'm a Walnut Ridge guy. And when I met her tonight, Lynn, we hit it right off.
I know.
St. Philip's
kindred
in
spirits.
the East Side, and her sister graduated the same year I did in '72. Small world, brother.
It's a very small world.
I mean, think
Columbus
about that. But she's
place.
a wonderful woman, and I just, it's fantastic hanging out with folks like you guys. You know, I mean, but you got to love. I guess it's kind of flipping here a minute to you. You got to love the job you're doing, man, because kudos to you, man. What you're doing for the local community. Now, I do want to say this before I'm done. Support local music, please, people.
Yes.
Go out, see these bands. That's what it's all about. And there's so much great talent that. Do you agree with me on that?
It's overwhelming. It really is. And then when you get to kind of know, and people are approachable.
Oh, very
surprisingly approachable.
I know a lot of all these bands, and they're nice people in the world.
Yep.
And, you know, think about it.
Uber talented.
Oh, my gosh.
Uber.
But, yeah. I know. But you, sir, with your podcast is brilliant. And there's a lot of people out there that have done this show with you that are glad they did this show with you, because it's brilliant the way you orchestrate, the way it flows, and I appreciate that. I really do.
Nice
I really do. I really mean that, because it was easy. It was. I was really nervous when I got here tonight, but I'm not. You know, it was
good.
You made it very comfortable.
Well, these lime vodka martinis probably helped a little tiny bit.
Yeah, right? They did. Don't tell nobody that. Well,
you know what I mean.
We
had a cocktail, right?
Before. Yeah, we did. We had a cocktail.
But I think,
You know what I'm saying, though?
I think meeting Megabeth, right, is the best part of the whole
Oh,
experience.
okay,
And
okay.
when she's not traveling, she's here, and she's always grateful to meet people and
Okay.
and to hang out. But I think you and Beth bonding was a good thing this evening before she whisked off to her play rehearsal. And then I think too, Pete, you're a personable guy. I mean, we just kind of got, comfortable, and
when
we
I knocked,
knew when the right time was to start recording.
when I knocked on your door and you answered the door, and I'd never met you before. I go, oh, Lynn, and I shook your hand and I gave you a hug.
Yeah, we hugged. Yeah,
And Beth was down the hall, and it was funny because, oh, you're Pete, and I'm walking down the hallway and I shook Beth's hand. She goes, oh, I don't get a hug? I knew it was good then. So I gave her a hug, and I knew it was, God bless her. She's a beautiful human being.
yes, she is.
And, and you're, I think it's awesome. And
Thank you.
I appreciate you inviting me into your home, man. I mean that. And sorry she had to leave, go do theater.
She'll be back.
Okay.
You'll probably still be here.
Okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday night.
But, yeah, I'm retired.
And I'll also call out Radio City, who is
let's-
ending their
Nikki
ending their
and
reign.
JP, yes.
Nikki and JP and the rest of the band, right?
Well-
great band. But they're ending their reign as the QFM 96 house band tonight, and that's
Yes.
going to go to somebody else. But on social media, on Facebook, I think Pete, I saw you post, "I'm sorry I won't be there," and I knew where you were going to be. You're going to be here. Mm-hmm. And right after that, I posted, and I love JP and Nikki.
So do I.
And we had a date to do a podcast episode. They had a busy year, obviously, with being the QFM house band, but there's a conflict now, so we're still trying to get a date. But I can't wait to talk to those two because they're friends of. I mean, I feel they're friends of everyone.
I finally got to meet him over the holidays.
Oh, good.
At Tracy's house for a Christmas party. And Nikki and JP. And you know what? Radio City, they took that torch and they ran with it, man. And they killed it over the last year.
Yeah,
and what a great band.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what a great band. And I love Nikki and JP. And good luck to the winner tonight, whoever won tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look and see.
We
how that
will.
worked out.
We will at Leon's Garage, but I know they performed tonight. I think they went on at 7 for Radio City to pass the torch. But yeah, great band. I'm glad you gave them a plug because, first of all, Nikki, great voice. JP, great drummer, and the rest of the guys, in the band, I don't know their names. I'm sorry. Yeah. I apologize. Great band.
Yep.
Radio City represents full tilt.
Fantastic.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I am.
For sure.
They're friends of yours and
yours.
Yeah, but you know
friends of many.
But you know everybody, Len.
I don't.
I'm
acquainted with a lot of people in music. I really am.
In
the Columbus area, but I don't know everyone. There's a lot of folks that I know of,
right,
that I would love to, and eventually I think we'll probably get them in. There's
right.
I just need to get out to their shows and introduce myself and try to make it happen.
I don't know if I said it earlier, but hey, God bless you getting the gods on, man.
Oh my God.
Let's talk about that. Mark, Steve, Keith, Doug, and Julie.
Oh my God.
You got them all right here.
So
I got to give a plug to them, man.
Yeah.
Listen, and I know Mark forever.
Mark
the
Chatfield.
gods. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. What a great job you getting them in here and doing that. Great episode.
I mean, the credit there is to Julie Neal.
Right.
Okay. And Julie Neal and her husband Ben Neal, they came for a podcast. They did a great episode. It's a really awesome story between Julie and Ben Neal. I mean, I would encourage anyone that has interest to listen to that podcast episode because it really is a cool musical story. And I think that they are they're fast friends to anyone who comes their way. And Julie is a part of Late Night Alibi. Obviously, she fronts that band, and what a killer performance that band is. And I mean, you've had some experience with the drummer of that band,
Randy,
Rand.
absolutely.
And I just can't say enough about what's going on with Late Night Alibi in regard to quality and hard work.
I think her
work
voice
ethic.
is perfection, and singing back
It's
up
so
with the
much.
gods. I mean, think about that. And
I
her taking over the lead vocals with Late Night Albie, she is blessed with a great
voice,
voice,
and
talent.
presence.
And you know
and
what? You know what's
attitude
crazy
and
about that?
professionalism.
You know what's crazy about? I've never met her.
Well,
I've never met Julie.
I had the good fortune to do so.
Yeah.
I did, and so to get to your question though, that was a spiritual weekend for me.
I bet it was.
Because Beth and I invited JP and Nikki to join us.
Oh wow, okay.
We invited some people couldn't make it, but it was sort of a spur of the moment weekend,
Right.
and it was a whole experience where we went to the last show of this tour for the Gods Resurrected album. They were touring that to support that album, and it was in Cincinnati. We drove down there. We saw the show. And we had a plan for the Gods to come that Sunday. And being at the show really was a rush of spiritual level memories and feelings. And to see a good friend of mine, shout out to Mike Cretion, who's an old Westerville neighborhood buddy of mine with his brother. Matt Cretion, who's also a local musician.
Okay.
But Mike Cretion and I were just grooving to the Gods on a Friday night down in Cincinnati at this show, and knowing that they were coming here for a podcast episode was just unbelievable there. And then to have each of the Gods in current form, 2024, and to hear the stories and the influence, and right out of the gate addressing Eric Moore,
Right.
and how Eric Moore is still very much a
very
part
much.
of the Gods.
Very much.
He is at the very core of what's happening and the history that Sav Raimi has with Eric Moore.
Yeah.
And how Eric kind of really influenced Sav Raimi in his participation to front and carry the Gods music forward.
That is so well said.
And that particular role of that band is a lot to carry.
That's a big-
and he does it so well.
That's a big pair of shoes to fill.
It's
And
so,
I think Doug has done. That's well said, because you can't replace Eric Moore in the Gods.
I can't tell
I'm sorry.
you how grateful I was to do that podcast episode. How iconic it was to meet each of them, and to know the history that Mark Chatfield brought
Absolutely.
into that conversation, and his humble presence to discuss everything that we talked about in that hour and 15 minutes, I think, or 17 minutes, was iconic. Not only for me, personally, but I think the stories that were shared there in that episode really, really speak to what Columbus-based music is truly, represented.
they were pretty much, other than Guffey Lane, way back when, it was the Gods.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, out of Columbus. It was McGuffey Lane at the castle on High Street. Think about it. John Schwab, I can't think of the year. No, think about it.
Yeah.
It was them. It was the Gods. Mm-hmm. But the Gods was rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
And I met them at the Sugar Shack. And that's what it really...
Did you know Eric Moore?
I had... Not really. No, I had...
Did you ever meet him?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But we weren't friends or nothing like that. I know Mark. Mark's a good friend of mine.
Good.
Eric, no. no, not so much. But here's the thing about Eric Moore. I want everybody to realize with the gods, Eric Moore was a great songwriter. Eric Moore was a great bass player. Eric Moore was Eric Moore.
Right.
And the gods got to keep it running. And whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter. They were really good, man.
Yep.
And for Moore to reorchestrate the band with Keith and Steve and Doug and Julie, I think is brilliant. And I totally wish them the best. I guess they got another record coming out. So that's what I heard.
They're working on a second record. But
That's what I
I
heard.
gotta tell you, the first record
Yeah.
is really good.
I know. I've listened to it. I have not
Listening
seen.
to it live
What?
is
Really? Well,
a
I
great
know,
experience, man.
and
Come
I-
on.
I-
And it's intermixed
I know.
with the older stuff from the 70s.
I'm into it. I'm into it. I just haven't seen it.
You and I are going to the next show.
Let's
dude.
go. Let's go.
Like, you're on my list.
Okay, let's
mister.
go. Let's go.
I would love
But
that.
we had to put a plug in for the gods
Okay.
on
I'm
this
okay with
show
that.
because I know because we were talking earlier before the podcast of different people that have come to do this show.
So many.
But for that band, for them all to show up and sit at your table, that's pretty special.
It was very special.
That's why I feel myself very honored to be here tonight. I don't know who I am. I mean,
You're Pete Seaman, man.
Yeah,
Come
but
on.
I'm just a simple guy.
To quote Josh Kulu again.
Well, I'm flattered. I'm flattered. Yeah, you know that.
I thank you.
No, you
thank
know
you for
that.
saying that, brother.
No, you know that.
Yeah.
And it's.
But I'm flattered you're here.
Well, it's special to me. It's something I relish doing this, and it's pretty cool, man. You know,
It's all good.
it is all good, and it's not over with yet, man.
No.
It's
no,
not-
I'm going to keep doing this as long as there's demand, that the people are listening to it, and people want to come and do an episode.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people.
And I think there's a lot of time left to fill that in.
Len,
You know what I mean?
The sky's the limit, man.
Well,
with
we'll
you.
see. We'll see how it goes,
Well,
man.
well, you see how it goes. You
I
know?
am an entrepreneur at
Yes,
my
you are.
core.
Yeah.
Okay, so all this is something that kind of came together because they just had a desire, some burning,
Right.
innate, motivation to bring it to fruition.
Okay, let me say this
It's all
then.
good, but it's all about the community, dude. It's
Okay.
the community and bringing the spotlight to the community.
Let me say this. You're spot on. Before we end this, everybody, it's all about the community.
Yeah.
It's all about local music. It's all about Columbus. It's so good. Think about it, guys. No, really it is. And Len, am I right?
That's how I feel, brother.
I mean, it really is. And
But there's so many
support it.
There's so many
Please
captains.
support.
There's so many captains out there just
know.
continuing to do what they love
I know.
and working hard
But
at it.
support it. Please support local music. Support it. It's the best, man. It's what you got to do. And support Len. Please do.
Well, there's nothing. If you support the podcast, it's more about the community. It's not about me.
That's
this
true.
doesn't have anything to
That's
do with
true.
me, dude.
Right.
It has to do with the community, the music community that is Columbus-based local music. And
Spread
it's
the word.
And listen, it's a very diverse community. And one of the things I'd like to shine, and I have done it, is the diversity of the community. There's popular music. There's a lot of rock cover bands out there, but there's also a lot of other genres that are out there working just as hard to bring what their genre that they're performing in. And I've got a couple of those guests that have already been featured on an episode, but there's going to be more of that too.
Okay.
Yeah. All walks of life.
That's
is
interesting.
what represents Columbus local music.
Very cool.
Yep.
Well-
and that's a good thing.
Well, no, it's a great thing. And I think you're hitting every avenue on that.
Try to.
Well, I know. Real quick, before we go, I do want to throw a plug out real quick. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Liz Leinard, Freddie Campo, Eric Hoss Butler, Jeffrey Gator Thornhill, Patrick Ione, Mike Kempton, Mark Campton, Troy Davis, Eric Rothschild. You guys, there's more. There's more. I love you guys, man. And that's why I'm still doing what I do. And I appreciate you through the security business aspect of making me look good as to what I do. So if I forgot somebody, sorry, man. You know how it goes. When you get to be my age, that happens. But it's been a real pleasure, Glenn, being on here. And I truly enjoyed myself. Appreciate it.
Oh, that's great to hear, Pete. I would just say that keeping the people safe at the events.
Yeah.
You know, bless you for what you do.
Thank you.
And I think that episode number 57 with Pete Seaman is one that goes down the history books tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, man.
All right, brother.
Bye. Love you. Love you.
All right, y'all. Episode 57, Pete Seaman. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Dude.